Hello? Test? All right. Don't worry. Just a soda. So I'm making like a little removable table for an armrest on a couch. So we're going to go over the workbench so you can get a little better view. I tried it out last night, but we're already running into problems because these unfinished edges snag on the couch. So I got to put edge band on it, sand it smooth. Otherwise it's going to snag the fabric. And we still have to attach the cup holder. Then you can put a phone here. Let's go over to the workbench and get to work. I'm not going to put edge banding on this because it doesn't matter. This doesn't come into contact with the couch. It's mainly these edges. I thought about disassembling this and put edge banding over all the pieces, but I think I can just add edge banding to the sides that actually touch the couch. And that should keep it from snagging. Let's try that. There we go. Forgot the scissors. And the iron. We're going to put iron-on edge banding on the sides that contact the couch to save the fabric, sand it smooth, attach the cup holder. I'm going to find a way to prop up a phone and maybe be able to charge it while you sit and you can scroll. And then on the side we'll make a remote control holder. But let's start with the iron on edge banding. Edge banding, scissors, iron, and the fattest chisel I got. I got a 1-inch chisel. Hello, Corey. So I bought a new couch, big L-shaped sectional, and there's one arm that's so close to the wall I can't make it, or I could make an end table for it, but I have custom built-in cabinets where the door opens. So I'm making this to slide over the armrest of the couch. Cup holder, phone holder, remote holder, but this is a prototype. I just want to build like a generic version of it, try it out, see if I like it. And then I think I might use some figured walnut. Make it look good. But the plywood edges are snagging the fabric of the couch. So I'm gonna put on iron-on edge banding. I was trying it out last night. I already know. I tested it out with some glasses. This holds soda cans fine. You have just a regular old soda can, works fine. Kind of keeps it from tipping over too. And it holds one of my favorite I have the most glasses of. It's too small, so version 2 is going to have a slightly larger hole. That's why I decided to do prototypes for this. Mock-ups, typically I don't. I just plan out ahead. But I knew something that with this much functionality that we might use every day, you don't want to waste a bunch of time and good lumber making something that doesn't actually work. Waiting for the iron to heat up. Got a little block, a little wood block. Oh no, there's water in it. I'm gonna have to go drain the water, I think. Oh no, I've never tried to. Well, we'll see how this goes. Seems to be adhering fine. I usually make sure the iron is drained. Little rush tonight. I've only got about an hour out here tonight. I got home earlier, but things came up. So when it comes to actually snipping the ends of iron-on edge banding, I just hold it flush and then slowly roll it over the corner and it breaks it. And you just kind of wiggle it off. Pretty clean cut. Start in the middle. It's pretty flush cut. You can stand out the difference. It's not even really a difference, it's just kind of jagged a little bit. I guess having water in the iron doesn't really make a difference. It still heats it up. I mean, I knew it would heat it up. I just didn't know if the veneer would like unravel. Missed a side. That wasn't a very clean cut. See, we're gonna tidy that up a little bit. Yeah, it's just glue hanging over. Actually, the water and the iron is making I should have known this before, making the veneer much more pliable. I could have used that for putting edge bending around a circle. It's good to know. Well, hello. Thanks for joining. So for the people that just joined in, I'm making this to go over the armrest on my couch. It's a prototype just to see how I like it. I've already found a few flaws. Cup holder, put your cell phone there. And then there'll be a little side compartment for the remote. But first thing I noticed was the plywood edges was snagging the fabric of the couch, so gotta fix that. Can't have my prototype looking like a cat went to town on my couch. Hey, Ben. Hi, Granny Annie. I've had one of those edge bending little things that clean it up. It's like two little razors with plastic, and it's crap. Just grab a chisel, hold it flat. Works fine. Every now and then, I think maybe it's going against the grain, but it gets turns into a rough cut. Still gonna have to sand that flat, but pretty clean cut. We'll do the top side of this one and then figure out how to do the insides. Let's unplug the iron before it catches on fire. See what I mean? Sometimes it's like you're going against the grain of the edge banding and it comes off a little rougher than you want. It's gonna be interesting to. Let's try to get a little closer. All right, so there's no open end to this, so I gotta kind of work my way to flush. All right, last piece we got to chisel off, and we're going to be sanding it. Actually, nobody wants to watch anybody sand something. I'll do that off camera. Just kind of awkward to. All right. Now I've got the edges of the plywood covered. I'm not worried about this edge because it doesn't really contact the couch. Oh no. Whoops. Forgot to do this side. Yeah, actually, I would have made this a lot quicker, actually. Accidentally peeled that edge up a little bit. All right, now we're actually done with hand tools. So let's take the cup holder, attach it, and I'm making this entirely like out of modules because if I do this again, I don't want to have to remake this or remake this if I'm going to keep it. So I'm not using glue. We're just going to use screws. Attach that through. Let's go find some screws. What's up, Kostaki? Making like a table that goes over the armrest on your couch. Something to hold a cup, phone. Maybe put in like a built-in phone charger eventually. Ooh. But for now, I'm just making a prototype to see if it works. I don't want to drop a bunch of money on good lumber to make something that sucks. I typically don't make prototypes or testers, or mock-ups, but I want to make something worth using for a while. Go back to the workbench. Gonna need a pencil. Where'd I put my pencil? Oh, here it is. I think 2 screws is gonna be more than enough. Should be fine. Ooh. Really got after that. That's a little deeper than it needs to be. It's a lot bigger than the head of these screws. Whoops. Let's try to clamp it in place while I install the screws. See if it can be done. No, I think I want the final version to be made out of walnut. I've got some figured walnut that looks pretty cool that's been sitting around. But I want to get a power grinder and make it look almost like who was that artist that did the clock, the melting clock, and make it look like walnut just melted over the arm of the couch. I think that'd look pretty cool. Dali, Salvador Dali. Good evening to you, Barry. Whoa. Oh, slow that down. Could be part of the problem. Yep. I did take it in and I put it on the couch. And the first problem is, since this was ingrain plywood, it snags the fabric on the couch. So I put on some iron-on edge banding where it contacts the couch. And I gotta sand it pretty smooth. And then I also realized it's perfect for a can. A 3-inch hole saw is great for a can. Can't even really tip over. And it works for one of my glasses, but not the ones we have the most of, so I might change that. All right, the next thing, I'm gonna head over to the lumber rack. And I want to install strips here to hold a phone kind of at an angle to where you could scroll without holding your phone. I think it'd be better if it's on the armrest side. It's going to be on the left. So let's go over to the lumber pile, see what we got. I know I've got a bunch of pre-milled walnut. It's 1/4 inches. It's been chilling out. That's not 1/4 inch. So I've got a bunch of pre-milled walnut from previous projects just chilling. So let's grab a bunch of it and see what we can make. I hate to use walnut on a prototype, but it's already cut to size, so why not? Ow. So for the phone to sit vertically, one edge will have to be higher and the other edge could be lower, just to keep the phone from sliding off. I don't know how high or how low. Actually, I don't know if that's high enough. So what I might do is take the big chunk, because one side's going to hold the phone tilted up and the other side is going to just keep it from falling off. And I think if I actually use a piece, let's not worry about charging it. Let's just make something that functions. So let's head to the table saw, cut a couple pieces and attach them. Probably with just screws. I think we're gonna make this in like 1 3/4 quarters. Back up a little bit. measure 1 3/4 inches. And on the other end, we can just use 1 inch. Dot block out of the way. That should be plenty high. Next piece, like 1 1/4 inches. Actually, you could probably just make it 1 inch. It's 3/4 inch plywood. All it's going to do is keep the cell phone from slipping off the end. Then we'll figure out how to attach it to the actual armrest. I think I'll use screws for the cell phone holder and probably super glue for the remote holder. I don't know if it'll be strong enough, but. All right, let's find some tiny screws. So this will be the front. All this does is keep the phone from falling off. Don't know if that comes through, but this shows me where I can put the screw holes. got to find some tiny screws. I'm thinking an inch should do it. Inch is probably big enough. Way big. Let's try it. I'm just hoping it doesn't split the plywood too much. I've never heard soap. I've heard wax. What kind of soap? Like dish soap? These don't even really need to be countersinked. I don't know. I can see how that would work. I don't have a brad point bit that small, so I'm gonna go grab one of these old, out of this old kit. You know, that's a 16th inch bit. They probably used that for dentistry back in the day. They're like, ooh, look how little that is. I mean, I don't really care if the plywood splits, but I think to do this, I'm just going to mark the holes with a pencil. That's good enough. Actually, I just realized there's a big gap between the cup holder and the... Let's tighten that up a little bit. What side is it? That one? There we go. No gap now. I just screwed that up. I want the tall piece on this side. My thought is, if this is on the left armrest, you can always reach to get your drink with your right hand. I'm right-handed. If your phone's sitting here, you can just flick and scroll, doom scroll. Whatever, you know, your wife can doom scroll TikTok or... Let's try this again. Pay more attention this time. That one's actually pretty close, I think. Nope, they're different. It'll be all right. I am going to make circles around these so I know which holes to actually use for the back. Actually, when I first started woodworking, I bought some brass screws because I think it said woodworking screws. And I tried to use it on this bench that we're working on. And the head of it almost immediately broke off, and I was like, whoa, these screws are cheap. No, I'm stupid. I didn't know anything. And then I also figured out yesterday this prototype will work really well for my phone, but my wife's phone is the Samsung Galaxy Ultra, which is bigger, which significantly hangs off the edges much more. So that's something to keep in mind if you're building like a phone specific. If you have a spot on the couch and your wife has a spot on the couch, I'm streaming this through my phone, so it's not like I can take it off and then show you. You know, how am I going to show you how am I going to look at my eyeballs? I think I'm going to set the clutch to like 4 for this though, 3 or 4. I'd prefer not to split the walnut. I don't want to be burning through walnut. It's pretty, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive here in the Midwest, but perfect. Perfect. It's pretty wild, isn't it? Going from Arctic to shorts. Yeah, I work outside all day, so I mean, this time 2 weeks ago, I had to stop working just to warm my hands up. And today I was sweating. I personally think winter is over, though. I think that was the last Mother Nature had for us this year. She might come back a little bit, but I think that was the last she had. Here in Indiana, we're supposed to have a record high tomorrow. Supposed to get up into the like low 70s, and the highest is 67. But all right, so my phone is about yay big. It's a shame I can't actually show you what it looks like, but we'll use this. We'll pretend this is way bigger than a phone. So actually that would work for my wife's phone. So you could doom scroll with your left hand on the armrest. Grab your drink. Now, I think the remote holder should go on the outside of the couch. Now I'm kind of debating on how much I want to put into this. So, I mean, I think that and it should probably be pretty low so it's out of the way. You don't want it to be in the way of your phone. So, and I think I'm just going to super glue the prototype to see how well it functions. Let's see. Like I said, I'm just going to super glue it. And obviously you don't want the remote to be that buried. Let's measure the remote real quick. So the remote itself is 1.5 inches. We could make it 2 for space. I think you could jam it in 1 inch, but let's make it 2 by 1.25. All right, I'm gonna have to write this down before I forget. How high? By 3 inches. That works. And then, how wide is this piece? I may just hillbilly super glue this to the bottom. Yeah, that's 1 inch. So 2, 3, 4. Let's go and cut some of this 3 inches high, and then we'll double back and cut the sides to length. Oh. Don't know what happened there. I accidentally smashed some buttons on the phone when I moved it. So we need a 2-inch piece, 2 1-inchers. And then I think to keep it square, whip out the old stop block. Wait, if I use a butt joint, I gotta add a 1/4 inch. At least I remembered before I screwed it up. All right, now we're gonna cut them all. They're 3 inches high, glue them together. I'll figure out the bottom. It's probably gonna overhang like crazy though. So that makes the bottom piece 2.5 by 1.25. Sounds right. Make sure our remote fits in there. It can be a little snug, but right, those three go together. We'll use this smaller piece to cut. What do we say, 2.5 by 1.25? Do we have 1.25? Nope. I got 1.125. This piece ain't gonna work. This one will. We might have to flip the stop block around. Yeah, it doesn't reach. We gotta flip it around. The right side gets a little closer than the left. I'm probably gonna put the glasses on in case this comes flying back at me. Close enough for what we're doing. All right, 2.5. All right, we're gonna super glue this together and call it a night. What time is it? Yeah, it's already late. All right. Let's go ahead, go over here and super glue this together. I don't even know how much battery my phone has left. Where are we at? Yeah, we still got plenty of power. So we'll do the sides first. We're just going to use super glue. Nope, the glue's already coming up. And this is very scientific. At least I have all my notes written down on the size of this remote caddy for written down on a milled 2x4. $3,000. Coming out of retirement, did you did you do this for a living? Or was this a hobby for you too? Hi, John Hood. All right, now the key here is I got to make sure the bottom sits flush with the edge that meets the armrest. I could see how depth perception in this would be pretty dangerous. I'll do it up here and you can kind of see what I'm doing. I just can't sit proud with that one edge. Good enough. Oh no. How the hell did I manage to do that? I guess I didn't mush it down enough. I didn't push down hard enough. There's like a little gap in there. I'm gonna try to pour some more CA glue in there. Some super glue in. Push it in there. It'll come down to about there. All right, we're almost done for tonight. What time? I'm already half hour over again. And I'm running out of super glue. Grab the other super glue. Yeah, we'll wrap it up after I get this on here. I'm going to sand it smooth. I'll sand it off camera. Nobody likes watching hand tools. Man, that stuff cures immediately. Oh well, we'll see if it holds. This is the prototype. And I can't take my phone off the holder and put it on there to show you, but it fits. Got the drink, so I'm going to sand this by hand off camera because that's boring. Try it out for a few days. I wouldn't be surprised if this remote caddy just drops off because it's super glued on. But at least the dimensions work. And I wrote them down on a 2x4. So if you're making a controller caddy for a Roku remote, there's your cheat code. For those who stuck around through the hand tools, I know the hand tools are pretty boring. Table saw's a little loud. Appreciate you. Have a good night.